Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Des and today I wanted to show you my new reading journal. This reading journal is from Kunitsa Co. You can order them from their website, but they also sell them on Amazon. And they come in a few different colors, as well as 2 different styles. One is the regular reading journal that has enough room for 52 book reviews in it. And then they have an avid reader reading journal that has twice as many. This is the beige one, the 52 book journal. I think the bigger one also has like a leatherette cover. These ones are like a soft cloth and they have this beautiful gold embossing on them. I just think it's a really lovely reading journal. So I am going to show you what the inside looks like and also how I'm using it right now. These are the pens that I use in this journal. This is a Uniball 1 in the color Soda, I believe, and it's a 0.5 millimeter. And it's just this cute little chunky pen. So I'm using that to write in here. And then I have 2 Tombow dual brush pen markers. The light purple is 620. And as you can see, this one, everything is completely wiped off of it. I wrote down what number the color is, but I can't remember, so I'll put it on the screen for you. But I've had this marker for as long as I've been journaling. But it is a lovely color, and I use this marker all the time. So let's get into the journal. This is what the title page looks like. There's just a line that says belongs to and a place for you to write your name. I wrote this 2024 reading journal with the beige marker and then added some stickers and washi tape. This washi tape, I believe, is from BGM, and then these little flower and deco stickers are from Carrots journals. And I actually forgot, I did use this Pentel sign pen in here as well a little bit, just for like the setup. This is like the light brown color, so I did use that a little bit too, actually, and that's what I wrote my name with. Okay, and then there are a lot of like quote pages in here. And this is also, it's not like dated, this isn't like a specific year. So you can use it over several years if you want. Like if you don't read 50 books in a year and you read like 10 books a year, this could last you like 5 years, which is really awesome. So this index spread has enough spots for you to write every book. So that's the index, another quote. And then this section tells you a little bit about how to use this. In the back, there's actually like an entire section that tells you how to use every section of this journal, which I think is so cool. But this tells you like what things are on which pages. Oh, here it is down here at the bottom. It says tips and sample layouts on page 162. So the next page is your daily reading tracker. And there are 2 full pages for this. And since I'm planning to use this entire journal for 1 year, I'm using both of these for 2024. I decided to make one for physical reading and one for audiobook reading. So on the left, I'm tracking when I read, I guess, physical or ebooks. And then on the right, I'm tracking when I listen to audiobooks. So I read pretty much every day. And then I've just not been feeling audiobooks lately. So yeah, I've barely listened to any audiobooks this year. There are also 2 ribbons to mark your place in here, which is really nice. And then yeah, this is where I'm using the purple Tombow. And so I pretty much just use those 2 markers and then that Pentel sign pen throughout the entire book. So the next section is reading challenges or to read. There are these little tab sections on the side that tell you what chunk of the book you're in. So there are, I believe, 3 reading challenge pages. They look like this blank. So title, author, and recommended by, and then you have this ribbon on the side, this like bookmark here that you can fill in as you read the books. And so each one of these sections is separated into 10 bars too, so that makes it super easy to fill out. The way I'm using this is every year I set myself a list of books that I'd like to prioritize reading that year. So in 2023, I did 23 in 2023. So for 2024, I'm doing 24 books that I would like to prioritize reading this year. These are them. The blank spots are special ones where I've said like, some of these were like, I want to read a book by this author. And so I don't have one specific book to write down, so I've just left it blank for now. As you can see, I've only read one of these so far, which is fine. I'm not like super concerned about reading all of them. Last year, I don't even think I made it through half of them, but I really evaluated it this year and picked things that I'm really excited to read and things that I have wanted to read for a while. And I tried to pick a handful of books too that I already own. A lot of people do this challenge and they do it so that they can, like, the entire list is books that they already own. And I honestly, I don't think I have as big a physical TBR as a lot of people do. I just have one shelf on my bookshelf and then a handful of books on my Kindle. So I'm sure I could definitely fill the entire list with those books, but the idea is that I just want to pick books on here that I'm really excited about. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And I've put a piece of washi tape over this because I didn't care about who it was recommended by. That's not really what I'm using this for. And so I'm putting here the date that I finished the book. My second challenge page I'm using as my goals page. So at the beginning of the year, I set up a list of goals that I'd kind of like to focus on this year for reading. The first goal is to read 10 nonfiction books. Clearly I'm not doing well on that, but it's fine. Normally I listen to nonfiction books and I just haven't been listening to audiobooks this year, so that's okay, I'm not too worried about it. The next one is I would like to read 3 ARCs. ARCs are advanced reader copies that you can get usually through like a service like NetGalley, and the publishers will give you an early copy of the book to read and review. And so I have a few of these. I have already read one, which was Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine, and I really liked that book. I think I gave it like a 4.5, and it's a horror book, and I'm not a horror girly at all. Like, I'm a huge scaredy cat, but I really liked that book. And then I'm also reading the arc of Earl's Trip right now. I can't remember the author. I will put it on the screen, of course, but I'm loving it so far. So this is going really well. I would like to read 2 poetry collections, 2 classics, 1 puzzle book, which those I guess aren't necessarily like reading. Sometimes they are, like if you know the Myrtle series, those are like books and they have a story, but they're also logic puzzles throughout the entire book. So I'm currently doing the first Myrtle book, and I am also doing a mini crossword book and a mini Sudoku book. I'll just show you. So these are my puzzle books. So this is my pocket Sudoku book. I've done almost all of the easy puzzles. I've done quite a few of the medium puzzles and just a couple of the hard puzzles. And I just got this one on Amazon for a few dollars, and I really love it. The size is super great. I can take it everywhere with me. And then this mini crossword book I got at my local Barnes & Noble, and it's just, yeah, New York Times mini crosswords, which are so fun. I love this book. So I usually do a couple of these a day, like 1 or 2. I don't let myself do more than 2 because I don't want to fly through the book too fast. But there are 150 puzzles in this, so I love that. And then this is what Myrtle is. It is a full-size book. But what it is logic puzzles, and they get harder throughout the book. But there is an overarching storyline to this, which I think is really, really neat. I did get kind of a misprinted copy, which is unfortunate. Like some of my pages are kind of cut off and some of them have like some word stuff on them, but it's still doable, so it's all right. But I think Barnes & Noble also sells these, and I think there are a few of them. But yeah, I love puzzles, and puzzle books are like kind of my thing right now. So anyways, after that tangent, yeah, 1 puzzle book and 3 big books. I'm not super sure what I define as like a big book. I usually avoid books that are over 400 pages. Definitely books that are over 500 pages I would consider big books. Maybe that's not what you consider a big book, but I have read Tress of the Emerald Sea, and that was a pretty big book for me. It took basically all of January for me to read it, so I'm considering counting that as one of my big books. But yeah. And then I'm not using the 3rd one for anything. And then there is a whole section for books to read. There you have all of these pages to write like your TBR. I keep a massive TBR on Storygraph. Like, it has over 500 books in it. It's definitely grown a lot. What I'm using this section as is a place to write down books that get recommended to me by like friends and family, and then books that were gifted to me. So I've already been gifted a few books this year, and I'm just putting a check mark here when I've read them. I'm also using one of the pages for arcs. So these are the arcs that I've gotten, and I have already read 2 of them, and I just crossed out recommended by and wrote release date there. So that's when those books come out. And then I'm not using the rest of the pages. And then the next section is for your finished books. So you have 3 of these spreads that look like this. So they have a stack of books here. You can color them. I've seen people do really cute like washi tape, like they cut washi tape strips out and fill them out that way. Then there's a place for you to write the title and a place for you to put a star rating. And I believe each of these pages has like 25 or 26 slots on them. So so there's like a room for a ton of books in here because you have all of these pages too. They don't have the book stack, but there's just tons of room for books in here. So you could use this for a long time. You just only have, in the reviews section, room for 52 books. So how I'm using mine is these are all of the books that I've read so far this year, and I'm filling out the stars accordingly. And then this book stack, I'm going to just keep it for the books that I read that are on my 24 and 2024 list. So as I said, I've read 1 of those, so I wrote it here. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I'm using that. And I'll just overflow onto this page once I get there. Okay, and the next section is favorites. So there's, again, a whole bunch of pages for your favorite books in here. You could write old favorites if you want. I'm making a list in here for my favorite books of 2024. I forgot that I used this pen as well. This is another Uni Ball 1, 0.5, and this color is cappuccino brown. I forgot I used that right there. That's what that is. And then back here, have a section for my favorite books of each month of 2024. So I crossed out genre and written month. And so each month I will pick 1 or 2 books. There's definitely room for me to pick 2 books from each month, but I haven't been reading a ton. So I'm just picking my favorite book or books of the month and then writing them here and then the month in that slot. This section is for DNFs, so books that you didn't finish. I haven't really DNF'd anything this year so far, but you have a lot of pages for that. The next section is for lent and borrowed books. I haven't really lent or borrowed books. I don't really want to keep track of my library books because that's a lot. Maybe if I get physical library books, I'll put them in here, but my audiobooks and ebooks that I get through Libby, I don't really want to track in here. But yeah, if I lend somebody a book, I will write it right here. And so you have a few pages for that. I also thought about using this section for books that I've gifted. I think it can be kind of hard to remember who I've given what books to. specifically my friend Lindsay, we like to gift each other books, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know if she has this, or like, did I already give this book to her in a previous year? So I want to start keeping track of that, so I put a section for that here. And then you get into the review section, which is a good chunk of the rest of the book are just these spreads. So the spreads look like this. You have a 2-page spread for every book, and there are room for 52 book reviews. So you have a section for title, author, a section for book and audiobook. I wish that there was like an ebook option too, but I will just write that in myself if that's the case. Start and finish date, details on the book. I really like this little section. This is one of the things that made me choose this reading journal specifically. I looked at a lot of reading journals, and I really liked what this one had in here because it's somewhat guided, but also not too much so that like I'm not gonna want to do it. I like that this entire right-hand side is blank. I've seen people do really cute things with it, like make collages and write their favorite quotes and stuff on that, and I think that's a really cute idea. But then it also just asks you a couple of questions to kind of help get you started. So what did you think of the book? What was the most interesting, intriguing, challenging, or surprising? And then what are you going to take away from this book? And I think that that's like a good like baseline, and you don't necessarily have to fill these out for every book. So yeah, I haven't actually used this section yet. I have made notes of what books are going to go on which spread, like the books that I've finished, but I've just been so unmotivated to fill this out. But maybe I will film a video of finally doing this because I really, really want to get into using this more. So yeah, that's how that looks right now. And then at the back, I mentioned there's a section that shows you how to use this book, so tips and sample layouts. I'm using this as a pen test page because it's just a good place for me to test my pens. So yeah, this section kind of just shows you how to use the book, but then there's also a handful of blank pages at the back. Not a ton. Not a ton, but I decided to use this section for my TBR, so like actual physically owned books. So I have a section for physical books and ebooks, and these are all of the books that I've owned before 2024. So these are all the physical books that I owned, and these are all the ebooks that I owned. And then the next page I'm using to write down what books I buy during the year. So I've sectioned out each month, and I'm writing like what books I've bought that month, and then usually where I've gotten them from. So like E means ebook, book of the month is BOTM, gifted, that sort of thing. Yeah, and so that's kind of how I'm using the back pages, and yeah, that's it. That's what there is to this journal. I think it's really lovely, and I think it'd be really cool to like use one every year, every other year, whatever. If it takes you, a couple of years to fill it up, I think that's cool too, but I think that these would look so pretty lined up on a shelf together, especially because they do keep coming out with like new colors. They have this red one that they didn't have when I purchased mine, and it's so pretty. It's so, so pretty. I love it. And it has like a nice design on the cover. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to continue using these journals and line them up on my shelf. So I'm really excited. I think it's a really neat reading journal, and yeah, hopefully I'll be showing you more of it as I continue to use it this year. Do you use a reading journal? Do you use a more guided version like this? Or do you make your own, like bullet journal style? I definitely used to bullet journal my reading journal spreads, but I kind of like the idea of having it in one book like this. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.